my dear yarn-loving friends. I am Doug, and I am coming to you from Albuquerque in New Mexico, and this is a podcast about knitting and all kinds of fiber artsy makings. I normally would have been back way sooner, even sooner after I recorded the German podcast. But you know, it is almost the 1 year anniversary of the loss of my mother. Then we had to put down one of our cats, our sweet Munchkin, and the world is going to pieces literally around us, specifically in the Ukraine. And my heart goes out to everybody out there who is suffering right now. And I think I can safely say that I'm not the only one who is not doing super great right now, which makes it really hard to sit in front of a camera and smile. And I've asked myself, what do you do in these times? I work a lot, which I find myself lucky because I work with colors, which cheer me up. But also I try to support Ukrainian artists. Our local store, our local fabric store sold a pattern by an embroidery pattern by a Ukrainian artist, which I wanted to suggest to you because you can totally do that just online from home, doing it from your desk. And yeah, on top of everything, you eat a lot of chocolate. I do. I don't know. How do you cope when the world around you goes crazy? I really wonder. And I was lucky enough, we had been on a beautiful vacation. We just got back about two and a half weeks ago, and we had gone to Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia. And we, just because we had to use up a flight that we would have lost from 2 years ago. And so that was wonderful, and that is good memories. And I will put some video footage at the end in case you want to see a little bit of what we have done. And yeah, I hope you'll enjoy that. I also, of course, as you do on trips, I knitted a lot, which is just a wonderful thing always. I feel like we're lucky we get to work with this wonderful medium. And so I came home with 3 finished things. 2 of them I want to start off with. And one of them is, of course, my Mariechen cardigan, as you may imagine. It's a pattern by Isabel Kramer, and I've worked on this for a little bit. And oh, by the way, there is a sale right now. Isabel Kramer patterns, you can get them for 50% off right now on Ravelry, all her self-published patterns, because she's turning 50. So happy birthday, Isabel. I don't think she watches, but still, happy birthday. Yeah, that's a big milestone. So she gives a big discount on her patterns there. Yeah, I knitted the cardigan out of Kenzie yarn from my local yarn store, and the weather was on and off, warm and cooler. We had it all, but I wore the cardigan quite a bit as soon as it got done, even though I hadn't brought any buttons. And I tried to find some the other day at my local yarn store, and I was not successful. This is a hard color to pick buttons for. So I may even end up with wooden buttons, but I have yet to dig into my own button stash for that. I had 9 balls of yarn, and that's all I have left, 1 and a little bit extra. I made it fairly fitted, and the length is, yeah, well, you see how long. 4mm needles. I couldn't be happier with it. It's really, I love the yarn, I love the pattern, loved working with it. I mean, as usual, her patterns are very well written, so it's definitely a winner to knit anything written by her. So that is done. And I also made a pair of socks for my daughter. These are, a German yarn, which is thicker than your standard fingering. So I used 3mm needles. Normally for socks with fingering weight yarn, I use 2.5mm needles. And I use DPNs. So I cast on, in this case, 4 times 12 stitches. And then I do the 2x2 rib, and everything else is just done the way I learned from my grandma. Nothing fancy, just a simple plain sock. And I'm super happy with how this yarn knitted up. Beautiful combination, the turquoise with the gray and the purple, just really nice. I had not knitted any socks in the past year, except for 1 pair around Halloween. I made some Halloween socks, but my mother was the sock knitter, and it's so kind of, I mean, one would think I would knit a lot of socks and think of her, but I couldn't make myself hardly ever start a pair of socks, whereas before I used to have socks going all the time. Yeah. This is the bag I had my sock project in. And you're gonna say, why are you showing it to us? You're done, it's out of the bag. Yes, I have to show you because on this vacation, one of my dreams was fulfilled. I saw in real life, in nature, I mean, it was a park, but not a zoo kind of park, just a park, natural Florida plants and whatnot. We saw alligators too that were in the wild. They live there. No fences, no nothing. But I saw an armadillo, which made me so incredibly happy. We were on this kind of like a boardwalk type of thing that took you through that swampy area. And all of a sudden I hear a loud rustling, and I thought, what is that? And I looked and I thought, maybe it's a bird. You know how they dig for worms, whatever, and they're really noisy. So I looked, and all of a sudden I saw the armadillo, and it just melted my heart. I couldn't believe it. So yeah. What can I say? Nothing else. I hope you enjoy my little video that I took of that little guy. It was so cool. That's fun. Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to tell you about, and something else that I like to do when I feel like there's a lot of stuff around me going crazy, the world falls to pieces, and in a way, I mean, this sounds horrible. It's not that bad, but still, there's a lot of terrible things going on in the world right now, in the world out there, and in the world in my personal emotional life, if you want to call it that. And when that happens, I don't find comfort in starting new projects, but instead I kind of reduce myself and find myself wanting to finish projects. And so what I did was I grabbed, after we lost the cat, our sweet munchkin, I pulled out a blanket that you may or may not have seen before, and that is my corner to corner blanket, which I also call my happy blanket, because I'm making it with all hand-dyed yarns and they're all fingering weight. I have probably started this blanket 3+ years ago, because someone I just posted something on Instagram, and a friend said, "Is that the blanket that you brought to the last Fiber Arts Fiesta?" And I said, "Oh yes, you're so right." I couldn't believe she recognized it. That was so nice. Yeah, back then I must have been fairly at the beginning, and now I'm actually really on the home stretch, and I'm so happy about it. I have made 3 corners. 1, 2, and where's the other one? 3. And my rows now really get shorter. So this is how long one row is. And I'm just, like I said, I'm using all hand-dyed fingering yarns. A lot of them that I have gotten in swaps, or I get them as gifts, or they are my own hand-dyed yarns, and just anything fun in a coordinating color is what I'm putting in. Definitely a project that makes you smile and makes your heart sing if you like that kind of stuff. Like I said, corner to corner blanket, 3mm needle that I'm using, and that's how it looks like. And I am not running out of yarn. This is how I keep my minis. Like, I have a small selection of what comes next in this box, and you may know Whitman's. Yes, I ate those, and I ate those recently. Like I said, chocolate is essential. Then I have a bunch of minis in here. Love that because I can see them. They make me happy. I got, a few years ago, a friend gifted me an advent calendar, a yarn advent calendar, and all those minis went in here, but there is a bunch missing now already. And from my mini swaps, I don't know if that interests you, but I'm the kind of person, I always like to see how other people organize their stash and their yarns. And so my mini skeins are in this little tower of minis where I kept the name of the person that I did the swap with on the outside, so I know. Yeah. Another project that I pulled out that I had started in September. And you're gonna laugh because in September I said, oh, maybe I'm gonna get this done for the Taos Wool Fest. That was maybe 2-3 weeks before the Wool Fest. Not happening ever, because I usually have many projects on the go. This one is, sorry, I hope that wasn't too loud. This one is the beautiful SCAPA cardigan by ALMA BALI. I love this design. I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles, and it's knitted top down, and you use 2 different colors. Duh. For the light section, I used Nice and Knit, who sadly don't dye anymore. I think they were 2 sisters who worked together, and I was able to shop in person in Maryland a few years ago. And back then I had planned to make this cardigan. I had purchased at Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival this coordinating mohair silk, but because mohair tends to itch me, I thought I'm going to be on the safe side and combine it with my Baby Suri alpaca silk blend. And that's, so you hold this together. I mean, this is not barely ever gonna be right on my neck, but still it's gonna be, I thought that'll work well together. The yarn I use as a contrasting color is a ZiaWoolz Dreamcatcher, one that I dyed specifically to work with the main color. The cardigan has an A-line shape, and you increase stitches regularly on the sides and in the back, in the middle, with a very special kind of cool technique that I had never done before. There are no buttons. You can wear it open or do whatever you want, stick a pin in or something. And of course, the I-cord edging that you start the color with, and that's where I've already used these 2. That will also be the edge on the 2 front sides and also on the bottom. I'm not worried about running out of yarn because I have a whole ball of that main color, so I can essentially make my sleeves as long as I want. And I also have almost a full ball of that contrast color, so I'm fine. I did not alternate skeins when I switched to the second ball of yarn. I'm sorry, this was scrunched up. And it's a little bit more speckled here, but it was also more speckled up here. So it doesn't bother me. It's just, I mean, it's no hard break. So that's fine for me. I'm very excited about getting this done, hopefully soon. I'm planning to finish the I-cord around the edges tonight, even though that's a very slow progress, as you all know if you've ever done I-cord edging. But it'll get done. It's fine. If you have paid attention, you're gonna say, Doug, you said you have 3 finished objects, but you only showed us 2. Yes. that is true, because I wanted to enjoy the anticipation, because my project is my beautiful painted, what I call my painted sweater. You saw the beginnings, and I finished it on our trip. I made up the pattern, and I said that I consider publishing this as my first sweater pattern. And then I thought about it, complete nonsense. You all most likely have your favorite sweater pattern that fits you perfectly. So you can do your own painted sweater with your favorite pattern. I happily share my secrets, the way I changed the colors and the way I used and combined them. I went into my mini skein and leftover stash and had in my mind pink. So I was looking for fingering, and I was looking for anything that said pink. It could be pink with orange, pink with yellow, with green, with whatever, but it had to feel like a lot of pink. And I decided, as soon as I was into the project, I decided that I was gonna limit each color to 4 rounds. However, I didn't want a hard break, and sometimes also my yarn possibly ran out after 3 rounds. So I did not overthink this. Sorry about that, my husband just got home. So I switched colors, yarns in the back of the sweater. And because it's so busy, I knew one would not see where 2 colors overlapped if I didn't do it like right above each other all the time. So what I did was I knitted 3 or 4 stitches with my yarn held double. And then, yes, I have not woven in these ends. And then I will just put the yarn on a needle and go diagonally just for an inch through those purl bumps. What was the other thing that I meant to tell you? I think I used 3.5 millimeter needles. 3 millimeter needles for the neckline. And if you see this marks my decreases. Color choice as I was knitting. I really just went by gut, like as if you would paint. I mean, there's a lot of colors. If you think flowers, there's a lot of colors that are right next to each other, and you would think normally if you think about combining your clothing, that wouldn't work. In nature, it doesn't bother us. So that's how I went for the colors in this. I just really, if I hadn't had a green, anything with the component green, I thought, oh, it's about time to have something with a little bit of green. Oh, I haven't had anything very light, so let's do that right now. And I want a little bit more the pink dominant. It's just like painting. And What else? I feel like I'm missing something that I really wanted to tell you. Well, it'll come back to me. But hold on, I'm going to show you how it fits. Perfectly. That's how it fits. And now I remember what I wanted to tell you about these many, many ends. I really, as I was knitting, I did not give the ends one single thought. I enjoyed this project so very much that I literally flew through it. The sleeves were challenging because I wanted them to be quite alike, but I wasn't always sure if I had enough yarn. So if I had a teensy weensy ball of yarn and it ran out on one sleeve, or I purposely had it running out on one sleeve, then I tried to pick something similar for the second sleeve. And you can see they're related but not identical, and I love that. Yeah, what do you think? Do you want to make yours? I'm just really happy, and I already have my next one prepared, and I will have to see how fast I can whip that out. I think I showed that in the last podcast as well, but I have to redo something because my math was off. I calculated wrong. So my sleeves would be too wide. I want them tighter. Isn't this pretty too? So here I had green and blue in mind when I went diving into my minis and leftovers from my stash, and actually from my friend Lauren's stash. Thank you, Lauren. I have been dyeing a lot of yarn because finally we have Albuquerque Fiber Arts Fiesta coming up. I am so excited. It's on Easter weekend in April. It's normally in May, but this year they had to change everything up because it's been 3 years ago that we had it last, and usually it happens only every 2 years. So it's gonna be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the fairgrounds in the Manuel Lujan building here in Albuquerque. And I'm so excited because I will have a booth, and it's been forever that I put my yarns out in the world, that I got to meet knitters who want to work with my yarn. And I always see people who come by and show me what they've made with some of my yarn. And that's just something that really makes me very, very happy. In the meantime, because I've been enjoying this so very much, I am working on some mini skein sets as well, so stay tuned for those. I have a few minis right here, stuff like this. It's just so much fun. So I have them all ready to be wound into minis, but because I dye them in large skeins, in the full skein, they then need to be turned into the minis. And I brought you something that's one of my new favorites. This beauty is called, For a Good Reason, Come to Mama Darling. And it's kind of related to this one to this one story that I want to share with you. We went in Savannah, Georgia. We went several times to that one breakfast place. And hey, you're in the South, and this waitress called my husband baby all the time. It was was the best thing ever. It made me laugh so much. I'm like, I said, oh, do you believe that she called you baby all the time? Yeah. So this is called Come to Mama, Darling. Not baby, but I just love darling also. Everybody calls everybody darling also. And I just love it. Love that color combination. Another new favorite of mine is this guy. It's not in the shop. If you ever see something right now, I'm not stocking the shop because of Fiber Arts Fiesta coming up. But if I ever hold something, show something in the podcast, you can, of course, let me know. And then I can always put that up. This is called My Precious Lola. And I need to tell you that as a dyer, I really enjoy coming up with new colors, and I always also try out new techniques, and that's what I've been doing a lot in the past 2 weeks. I've been just playing with colors, going really crazy, and exploring new techniques, and that's how these two came to life. But at the same time, I don't even always write everything down, because sometimes I just want to play and splash and not be super exact, and have it as a future recipe. And those skeins I call the lucky dogs, one of a kinds. But you know, I usually don't talk to my husband about the dyeing, but sometimes there are the days when I come home, when I come out of my dye studio, and I say, oh my gosh, I am so happy. I came up with the most beautiful new colorway, and it has a great name too. And the name giving can be very challenging. Sometimes something gets stuck in the head and you have this amazing color and no name comes to you. And then other days it's just so bam, that it just, you come up with that name immediately and it just works. Today, and it's still dripping wet. I finished it. I rinsed that yarn and I put it up to dry, and it's dripping wet, literally. But I dyed up burlesque today. Stay tuned for that. And don't let me forget to show you that next time, because it's so amazing. Makes me very happy. Makes me happy about the name and also about the colorway. But, oh no, one more thing that I meant to show you. I have mentioned that I want to make a cardigan for my daughter, and I have finished the selection of yarns that I dyed for that. And I have 4 balls of this. There are 100-gram balls of my base. I call this YUCCA. It's a special, it's a limited edition that I got from one of my suppliers. It's not going to be available anymore soon, but it has 45 baby alpaca, 40 merino, and 15% silk. And so I have 4 of this. And these are my other colors. 3 others, which should be okay. If not, I have a purple and a stronger green that I might be able to add. But I haven't really decided yet what I want to do. I thought about garter stitch, but then I wasn't sure, and this needle was also not thick enough. It's a 5 millimeter. So I think if I hold the yarn double for quick success, I will need a different needle, and I haven't even pulled that from my studio yet. But I think it would look really nice. The problem with holding it not double is just that it would take so long. And here comes my other fluffy boy. I don't know if you heard that, Ike. He's missing his sister. Come here. Come. Say hi. Come on. Do you want to say hi? He's talking to me. There he is. Yeah, so now you've seen everything that I've been up to, and like I said, I hope you're doing well. I hope you have found a way to deal with complicated situations in your life, but most of all, I hope your life is good right now. And I hope that you have something beautiful and colorful on your needles. I wish you happy knitting. Bye.